Welcome back to Investing in Trading Live, sponsored by Trading Academy, talking about the do's, the don'ts of the financial markets, odds and probabilities, and strategies for up and down markets with stocks, options, futures, and Forex. If you missed seats for the investing class here at the Academy or in a city near you, we're going all across the metro here. When you text the word investing to the number 210-210, you're going to get a text right back with a link to our landing page, and you can pick a location and a time that works best for your schedule. We get it. People work 9 to 5. So, I was actually just thinking earlier, Al, we need to stop living for Friday or living for today and start building for our future and our kids' future. Simply text the word investing to the number 210-210 to get started in the financial markets with a free investing class. Also, make sure to subscribe to the podcast. We're a global podcast, listeners all across the country, Investing in Trading Live on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. Just type in Investing in Trading Live. We do appreciate the followers and subscribers. By the way, those podcasts are free as well. That's the nice thing about podcasts, Al, is you can get your word out there at basically no cost and really helping people understand more about the financial markets. We're going to make this the number one global financial podcast. One day, Al, we're going to work hard for that. Investing in Trading Live on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. So, Al, in that last segment, obviously, we talked a little bit about Chipotle. That's news that happened. The stock split that they had and went up over $3,000 per share. Basically, what's happening is people are thinking, that they're going to get more when they start buying now because the price is getting lower. But that's not the case. It's equal is what happens with a stock split, and we cover that in these investing classes. So, if you want to learn more about those stock splits and how those work, just simply come to one of these investing classes and ask those questions. That's what they're for. But I was actually something interesting, Al. There's a app and it's Market Watch. Obviously, everybody knows that it's an app out there. It's a company. It's a website that gives news, and I like to understand what's happening in the news. But you don't react to the news. You want to know what's happening, right? And that way you can understand, protect your positions if you need to. Always should be protected. But the news is a lot of times manipulating the public to do certain things. Now, one of the interesting things I saw this week, and it was actually, they were referring to Bitcoin. And this can be just like any stock, any company, gold, oil. It doesn't matter what the asset is or what the instrument is. But in this case, it was Bitcoin. And it was 2 days in a row. I believe it was Monday and Tuesday. Market Watch popped up, and I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was something along the lines of an analyst or somebody saying, a company, saying that Bitcoin by the end of the year is going to be $300,000 per Bitcoin. I saw that. And current prices on Bitcoin right now are in the 60s. It hit over 67. Over 70,000.
74, I think, for a while.
Yeah, something around there. But I think as of the time of the show here, Bitcoin is currently at 64,123. So that's another 40%. That's a big jump. Going 300,000 is more than 40%. Sorry, but that's a big jump. Now, which was interesting because what the public thinks is, so and so said this, and now I got to go buy Bitcoin. Now, price is already high with Bitcoin. People are buying high with the hope for it to go higher, which is possible, but you can't really manage risk that way. You actually add a little bit of risk there. The next day, I don't know the source, but it came from Market Watch again, and it said so and so says Bitcoin down to 30,000. Mm-hmm. It was interesting how the same company said that, and two totally different things, but because they had two separate sources that were saying that, which is interesting because it's really getting the public to be emotional. Now they're feeling, now we need to sell Bitcoin because this person said it's looking bad and it came from this news outlet or whatever. So here at the Academy and also institutions, they're not trading off of that stuff. They know that stuff is happening, but they're creating some of that. But also they have strategies that have odds and probabilities in their favor, and that's what we do here at the Academy as well, is put odds in your favor, probabilities, but also have a step-by-step strategy that's designed to walk you through that investment, which takes that emotion out of it. Now, I want you to explain how that happens because that's what you need to have consistency in the financial markets.
First of all, two words, bias and opinion.
Yep.
What you just talked about, where you see, even within the same company sometimes or the same news source, somebody will say one thing and then somebody else will say exactly the opposite. The problem is those are people's opinion. They're not necessarily basing that on fact. If it was, then they would both be saying the same thing. And sometimes they're biased. It may be that the company they work for, or maybe they are holding a big position in something, and they're biased, and they will try to put something out on the airwaves or in one of the news sources that will make people do something that maybe is in their benefit. But so listen, here, this is the important thing. People spend an unbelievable amount of mental energy just trying to pick what the market's going to do without knowing the real reason for the fact that it moves up or down. And stocks go up for a reason and they go down for a reason. So to be successful, you have to understand what that reason is. The education that we provide for our students, by the way, is unbiased. It's not just our opinion. It's based on fact, but it's based on teaching you what the reason is. And we understand what it is. It's a very simple concept of supply and demand. And just look at demand as being an area where there are buyers, big institutional buyers, and supply being an area where there are big institutional sellers. We help our students to identify where those areas are on a price chart. A price chart is like a book that you read on something, or like an X-ray that a hospital or an emergency room takes and passes off to a radiologist to read. The radiologist is not reading it based on their bias. They're looking at facts, and they will make a diagnosis based on those facts. That's what we do too. We want to show you what factually moves the price of something, because that's your goal. If you buy something, you want it to go up in price. If you're selling, and if you're on that opposite side of the market, which, by the way, you need to learn how to do, or you're missing out on maybe half the opportunities. But if you can identify what's going to make price go up and what's going to make it go down, or when it's going to go up, when it's going to go down, it increases the probabilities of you being successful in the trades that you make.
Yep.
Let's keep this simple. It's not formulas. It's not some secret sauce, as you have been calling it. Mm-hmm. It's fact. What factually moves something? And for some people, you are in a position where those facts are totally disregarded. It's what we call the buy and hold strategy. That strategy has you just putting your money in the market, not really paying attention to what price you pay to get in, and then also not really paying attention to or being concerned about drawdown. So you're told that the market will always come back. Don't worry about drawdowns. But also the fact that you're missing out on what the profit potential is, because if you don't take profits when they're there, they can disappear. With the buy and hold, you're told basically to hold on for years and years, and there will be a profit there at the end. And you know what? That's true. If you hold on to something for 30 years or 50 years or 100 years, it's going to have a profit. But the point is that
not 100% though, Al.
Yeah, if you look at almost any 15, 20, 30-year period, there is almost always an increase. But
in all stocks, though, in all stocks, it's possible there could be, depending on when you sell.
You get in. Sure.
That's why it's important to understand and have a strategy that's designed to have a target as well.
Yeah, but if you listen to people, like we quoted Peter Lynch a few times this last week. Peter Lynch ran the Magellan Mutual Fund for Fidelity. He said, this is a quote from him too, the stock market has been the best place to be over 10, 30, 100 years, but if you need money in 1 or 2 years, you shouldn't be buying. So look at that buy and hold long-term strategy. But what if you need money in 1, 2, or 3 years? What if you need additional income? How do you do that if you're told not to buy stocks? And that's what most people are familiar with. Maybe there's something else that you can do, some other kind of investment that will give you the opportunity to be successful on a short-term basis.
Yeah, I think we can cover that in the next segment, because you're kind of opening a can of worms there, because if Peter Lynch says, it was Peter Lynch, right?
That was Peter Lynch. Mm-hmm.
If he says that, and there are other opportunities, I think we should discuss some of those opportunities in that next segment, so make sure to stay tuned for that next segment on that. And you're talking about other assets is what you're talking about.
Exactly.
But just to kind of go into and clarify supply and demand, it's just like our everyday life as well. So this is not something we just made up, right? It is an economic law. You look at anything that you buy, real estate for one. There was so much demand for homes what did price do? It skyrocketed.
Absolutely.
Homes went up and up and up because there was so much demand and there wasn't enough supply. Well, what's flipped now? And we're seeing a lot of realtors come into the academy now because now people can't sell any homes. There is so much supply out there and less demand for homes. And what's interesting with that, price hasn't really came down yet.
No, it hasn't. But and actually, I think what we're seeing is we're moving into that area where there's a shortage of homes that are kind of in the price range that people are
Correct.
looking at. And so the demand is still there, keeping the price up. But with mortgage rates as high as they are, people that own a home that want to sell and buy something new, they may be giving up a mortgage rate that's in the 2-3% range, now looking at having to do a 6 or 7%. So there's a lot of things that are impacting that market, but it is supply and demand. That is true of anything. Anything financially, if there's more demand for something, price will go up. If there's more supply, price is going to go down. And it's that relationship that we want to identify on a price chart. Instead of supply and demand, look at it as buyers and sellers. And you can find it. It's on a price chart if you know how to read it.
Yeah, another good example is what's happening right now with land up north. I mean, there's only so much land, right? And I have some land up north, and for what I got my land for, they're actually selling land for over double within a year from what I bought mine for. Because there's so much demand for it, and there's just nobody's selling anything. There's not enough supply of it. So in the law of gravity, if you have a pen and you let go of it, the law of gravity states it will fall down, and that's the same concept. So that's why we have strategies based off of facts, as you're talking about. Facts, and then what you do is you have steps within a strategy. Add odds in there, probabilities, but also what you were getting into right before we got into this discussion is having the right asset as well. So if you need capital now, it's like having a job. When you have a job, you want that to pay you every week or every other week or once a month, however it's set up, because you need to utilize it. Well, in the stock market, if you're just holding a stock forever and ever with no plan of gain or loss, that is a 100% gamble. Now, when you have a strategy that has targets and protection, that's how you realize things. And when you realize something, that's basically realizing a profit, right? Or closing out a trade. And that's what we train and teach here is how to identify where to be buying, where to be selling, a strategy to minimize your risk, but also in what you work with a lot of people is how do you figure out and design the right asset that might be right for what you need to accomplish. It's like having the proper shoe for the sport that you want to play. If you're playing basketball, you're not going to want to wear baseball cleats, right? It's the same concept, and that you help a lot of people do that here at the Academy. And it all gets started with a free investing class. You teach a lot of these investing classes that we are doing local here at the Academy. We're actually doing a campaign all across the whole metro. We've been doing classes in Rochester. We've been doing classes in Wayzata, Maple Grove, Edina, Woodbury, St. Cloud, so just different areas, because what we've found is there is a lot of people out that want to get in the financial markets, but they just don't know how to start. And they want to know what to do, the right place to go, and how to get started. So that's what we do in these investing classes is we go over some of the basics for people that haven't done trading or investing. We go through a little more advanced things, so that way if you have done some investing and trading, what might be right for you. So we cover all that in these investing classes. These are about 2 hours, and Al teaches these, I teach these as well. So I want to invite you to one of these investing classes and come in to see what it's all about, and that way at least you know what are the opportunities with these markets. It's a great market right now. Simply just text the word investing to the number 210, and that's for 2 seats for an investing class here at the Academy or anywhere in the metro here. You're going to get a text right back that will have our landing page and a link. So you got to click that link. I know you're on your phone. Just click the link with that index finger of yours and pick a date that works the best for you. Text investing to the number 210. Also, if you missed part of the show, simply just go to Investing and Trading Live on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and Spotify to get your financial needs there. Coming up next, let's cover those different assets, Al, to see what might be the opportunities for people that need that income or to protect their wealth. This is Josh and Al. We'll be right back.